Hey, everybody. Great to see you. Happy Thursday out there. Hope the freight is flowing, the cigars are smoking, and you are ready for another episode of Standing Out, a podcast about sales, marketing, and leadership. I'm Trey Griggs, founder and CEO of Beta Consulting Group, and we are so excited to have you with us today. Got a great guest on our show today. He is an industry veteran. He has been in freight tech. He has been in freight brokerage, doing an awesome job. And so we're super excited to welcome to the show our good friend from RFX, Nate Lourie. What's up, Nate?
What's happening, Trey?
How are you, brother?
Living the dream.
I got to tell you, man, you are the second episode of 2023, and both guests so far have chosen walk-up songs that's pretty awesome. Some hip hop from the 90s and early 2000s. So super excited about that, man. How are you doing, brother?
Good. I hope that song doesn't date me too bad. But...
Well, if I were doing it, my walk-up song would probably be something from Snoop Dogg or whatever. So yeah. I'm right there with you. So no worries in that regard. All right, man. Well, let's just jump right in. First of all, tell everybody a little bit about yourself and what you're up to these days.
Yeah, so I'm the president and CEO of RFX and REFE. So RFX is the brokerage division, and REFE, which stands for Refrigerated Food Express, is our asset division. It's a really cool company. Refrigerated Food Express was one of the first refrigerated asset carriers in New England, way back before they even had like the actual vented units, and they were laying bags of ice on the floor and just throwing shrimp on it and being like, go, hopefully it doesn't spoil. So we celebrated 70 years in 2022. We had a 70th anniversary party down here in Houston where we're now headquartered. And it's been an incredible honor and a ton of fun. I'll give you a little rundown on RFX. So we have agents, we have internal W-2 guys, we have the asset division, and we have 3 offices now in Houston, Boston, and Tampa. So it's been a busy year, but it's been fun,
to say the least. Yeah, and your journey into transportation. You've been in the industry quite a while. You've been not only at a asset-based freight brokerage like you're at now, but you've also been involved in logistics tech. So I'm excited today to talk to you about your experience, how that's shaped what you're doing now today, and where the industry is really headed. So let's kind of jump right in and chat about that just a little bit. You've been at tech players before, a TMS system and other transportation management tools. Talk a little bit about your experience in tech and how that has helped shape you and get you ready for this time right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I started my career at Global Trans back in 2010, and they had just rolled out Command Center, which was this new incredible tech. And it's kind of fun to see the tech journey where what we were excited about in 2010 versus what we're excited about now. And then fast forward all the way up to when I was the chief commercial officer at Shipwell. It was the first time where we were selling brokerage services, but we were also selling a TMS solution, and we were trying to get carriers, shippers, and brokers to use it. And that's where I really started to get connected with all the tech providers out there, and companies like Green Screens were just kind of starting to come out. And the theme of the last 5 years has just been automation, and how do you replace the human element in a lot of our business. And I think what I've come to find, and I don't know if people agree or not, but there's still this happy medium of human interaction, relationships, and then automating the crap out of the things that aren't revenue generating necessarily, that have any effect into your relationship. So we found that if you can take a carrier rep from booking 8, 10, 12 loads a day and get them to booking 50, and he's spending more time talking to carriers, finding out where they're at, building those relationships, and less time clicking through a TMS and checking boxes and automating a lot of that, then it's a win-win. And then specifically now in the CEO role, now I care about the back office, and you care about the entire structure of a brokerage instead of just being revenue focused 24/7. And that's where we're seeing a lot of automation too, is in the billing process and PODs and even rate automations and all those kind of things. So you're kind of waiting for 5 years ago where like carrier reps are going to be dead in 5 years, and 5 years later you go on LinkedIn and everybody's hiring for carrier reps. So
right.
we're kind of, I think we're all kind of seeing what's still going to happen. But we invest heavily in technology. It's obviously super important. And on the asset side, it's becoming extremely important. And the ELD space that's kind of all getting consolidated is interesting. So I feel like that was kind of rambling, but it's always interesting to see what happens. And this is why we go to these trade shows and we're like, okay, what's the next big thing? And it feels like everybody's kind of chasing the same, but there's some really exciting stuff. We love Highway as a recent platform that I've personally kind of fallen in love with. I started as a carrier rep, so I kind of have this affinity towards carriers and carrier relationships, but yeah, it's changed a lot. It's going to keep changing. My hope is that the good old days where you just have to pick up the phone and make a lot of phone calls never goes away, because that's kind of my favorite part.
I think there will always be a place for that. I think it's dwindling a little bit. I was actually talking to someone about that recently in regards to the sales process. If you go back 30 years, the managers were probably saying, hey, you need to start sending emails to prospects. And sales guys are probably like, no, I got to be on the phones. I got to hit the phones. And that process sort of changed. And now it's social selling, where you're spending time on LinkedIn and you're building relationships that way. At the end of the day, it comes down to relationships, but it's changing a little bit. I think there will always be a place for phone calls in the process, one way or the other. When we go back to technology and we talk about that within the industry, it's even interesting just to look back 5 years of what we were excited about versus what we're excited about today. I feel like the acceleration among technology and what it's actually able to do is increasing pretty rapidly.
Yeah.
Like you said, there's still a lot of human element touching it. And we're starting to see brokerages kind of segregate in some ways between the ones that are truly old school and the ones that are actually embracing and adopting technology, those early adopters. I think we're starting to see that division as well. And it'll be fascinating to see how that plays out in the next 5 years or so, and what that means for a company that doesn't embrace technology versus one that's going all in on technology, and how that impacts market share and those types of things. How do you think about that from a CEO role when you think about, obviously you want to do what you can today to make people more efficient, but also to think, where we're going to be 5 years from now? What do we want the company to look like 10 years from now?
So we look at it interesting. I mean, you're right. 5 years ago, the big thing was you could post a load to DAP from your TMS system. You didn't have to go log into DAT and type it all in. But that's a game changer. I mean, it saves time. It eliminates errors. You're not posting the wrong load and putting $40,000 instead of $4,000. So those things are important, and we probably now take them for granted. But we look at technology in maybe a little bit different way. We want to make sure that we don't get displaced. When I took over RFX, we were a pure full truckload brokerage. And so part of my mission is, how do we get LTL? How do we get intermodal, international? How do we get good at container drayage and in the ports, and then ultimately manage transportation? And I think managed transportation, you have to have incredible technology to pull that off. So we're looking at different platforms out there that could help us in the managed trans sell, because I think you have to get extremely sticky with your customers today. If you're just a full truckload brokerage, there's other companies that provide all those other services, and ultimately they're going to get a crack at your full truckload. And that's where we see the threat is competitors coming in through osmosis, where they're kind of taking over a customer account. So we want to make sure that we're sticky, that we can go to a legitimate shipper and say, we can handle all of your freight, and we can give you reporting on your freight, and we can give you on-time metrics and what you're spending, and show you how we're going to save you money by dumping it all into one single system. It's not easy, obviously, otherwise everybody would be doing it. But that's where technology becomes critical. And the simple thing of, where is my freight? Those days are quickly getting behind us. I mean, we see every day with new shippers we're bringing on, if you're not a P44 or a Four Kites, or if MacroPoint, even if you don't have those technologies, they're not even going to let you fill out the RFI to get to the RFP. So there's certainly an element. I think I don't know if there's a brokerage that can exist that's not investing in technology at some point. But to your point, it'll be interesting to see the race of the ones that are going all in and really, really investing in it, into the ones that are like just checking the minimum boxes to get by.
Yeah. There's a lot of truth in that. And, those elements you talked about, tracking being one of them, it's really table stakes now. It's really expected. It's almost like online shopping. When we first started shopping online for personal stuff, a week would be okay to get it delivered, not a big deal, right? Because it's going to be in transit. But now, if it's more than 2 days, people are like, well, what is going on? What's wrong? What's the issue? And
Oh,
so, it's funny how the level set really changes.
It's the new generation too, Trey. Like the 24-year-old Michigan State supply chain grad wants to know where all of his freight is and wants the Uber experience of the dot moving. And as some of the other people are going into retirement and this new wave is coming in, I mean, I have 4 kids. My daughter orders clay beads on Amazon, and I say they're going to be there Wednesday at 4:00. She's like, "Where's our Amazon package?" I'm like, "You could just go to Hobby Lobby and buy it down the street, But
That's right.
So I think as our kids get into these seats that you and I are in now, it's going to get even more demanding, and it sounds bad because it's like you miss the good old days where you could have some trust that you knew what you were doing. But now it's not even not being able to trust people. They just need to see it, and they want to be able to pull it up on their phone and know where their freight's at.
Right. Well, and not only when those people like your kids' age get into our seats, but when they get into those shipper seats, the customer seats, that's when it really changed, because a lot of those levers are often pulled by the customers and what they want, what they require, what they demand. So yeah, it's definitely going to change pretty quickly. Where do you feel like freight brokerage is headed here in 2023? I mean, we're off to the first 3 weeks of the year. What are you looking for in 2023 out of freight?
I think everybody's trying to figure out pricing. It's when the market dives like it dove over the last 6 months, people are scrambling to say, how can we make sure that the kid we hired 6 months ago is comfortable quoting freight in this new era? Like, you're going into Q1, you're usually excited about Q1. Everybody's kind of like, well, what's Q1 going to be? And so that, I'm not trying to give out free plugs, but Green Screens is catching fire in our space, and their kind of pitch is that we're enabling your people who might not know how to price very well to be very good at pricing. We looked at another system called YAT at a company based in Kansas City. They're building an incredible product where they're trying to ingest all these different things into a single pane. I mean, we used to look at previous lane history, go to DAC, go to ITS, and now it's a single pane where you can just, here's where we think it's going to be at, and it's relatively accurate. And I think all the technology providers, what I've seen a big shift in is tech providers in our space 5 years ago were a bunch of really smart people trying to build tech. Now it's those same people, but they're hiring former brokers and former shippers and former carrier executives to come in and be like, what do we really need to think about? And so the guys that are trying to create pricing algorithms have a former broker sitting next to them, be like, what are you guys going to do for produce season in Florida? They're like, well, what's produce season in Florida? Well, it's when the market goes like this for 6 weeks around Easter every year. So people are starting to get smarter, better. They're taking into account, presidential election year, the market gets weird. There's gas goes through the roof, the market gets weird. So I think it's getting better and better and better. And the ultimate hope, I mean, I started at Global Trans where there is no pricing. You punch in zip code, pallet, class, and it gives you a rate with the carrier. Can we get there in full truckload? I mean, I think that's what a lot of people are pushing for. And there's some companies that are getting pretty close to it. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. And like we said, the new age generation coming in, they might not want to talk on the phone. They might not want a relationship. They might want to put Houston to Chicago, click a button, $1,800, book it, and the truck shows up and picks it up, and they're good to go. So it's interesting, and that's why we've taken that approach. Like I said before, what else can we offer? We can't just be a full truckload shop. I don't think that's going to work over the next 4 to 5 years.
I think if my teenagers' communication habits are any indication, they're not going to want to talk on the phone too much. They text their friends all the time and rarely talk on the phone. It's an interesting kind of phenomenon to watch, that's for sure. But, I think you're right when you think about technology in 2023 and where we're headed. Pricing is a big issue. Green Screens is doing some really cool things. I think there will probably be some other tools that eventually will come out, but I think that they are leading the way when it comes to modern technology using machine learning and AI, which is cool. But then the double brokering issue and what Highway is doing, I know we mentioned both of those, but I really think that those are two technologies that are doing things radically different.
Yeah.
And highway is an interesting one because, they have someone like Jordan Graft who has a finance background, and so he brings that element. But then you have Michael Caney there now, who is a former operator
Yep.
who knows exactly what it's like to sit in that seat. And I think that combination of really tech savvy and experience in brokerage, we're starting to see that in tech providers, and I think that's making a big difference because you're getting the best of technology with the best of knowing the industry and knowing what somebody in that seat actually needs. So
Yeah.
it's pretty enjoyable right now to watch.
Well, Highway hit a home run because they hired a redhead, and that usually helps solve a
That's
lot of
it.
your problems.
And what else do you need to do?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
No,
even, when I started at Global Trans, is when I first met Cassandra Gaines, and her product's great too. We use that. Like I said, I think everybody's trying to help everybody out, and it's going to be interesting to see who kind of wins. And what I love too, Trey, like in this, having agents is so much fun because, I mean, we have agents that have been doing this for 40 years. We have an agent at RFX whose dad drove for REFE in the 60s, and then he became an agent. He's been here 40 something years, and he has legitimate enterprise customers, and they've been giving him the same 3 lanes for 40 years, and he uses the same carrier, and he makes great money and great service, and there's zero technology that touches it. So there's a part of me, like the romantic in me, that's like, I love tech and it's awesome, but like there's still that I'm your guy, call my cell phone 24/7, I service the heck out of it, I give you a great rate, and you don't have to worry about those lanes anymore. And then my job is to talk to that agent and be like, so what about these other lanes? We could try to get this too, but I see that this collision of old and new that is inevitably going to collide, and it'll be kind of interesting to see who comes out.
I have to say that sounds like a great story and would make a great piece of content for the company to talk about that old school touch with new school technology and trying to merge those. That could be a fun piece of content for you.
Yeah,
to see you guys put that out.
I part of when I took over was looking at our culture, our core values, our mission statement, our slogans, like all these things that are important in running a business. And I came up with the running on trust since 1952. And for the most part, everybody loved it, but it really just rings true to, like, we've been doing this for 70 years. That means something. And if we can always ensure that we're doing everything with trust being the first thing that's rooted in those decisions, at the end of the day, I think that's what shippers really, really want. And if they feel like they have to get trust through a macro point dot, cool. But if you can trust our word and trust by our examples and how we're going to do things, that can win too. And so there's got to be a balance. There are brokerages out there that are going all in on tech and all in on tech and offshoring. And, it'll be, I think the time will kind of tell, and we're going to have to see where everybody ends up. But it's an exciting time no matter what. I love this business. I eat, breathe, and sleep it. And I love talking to people like you and knowing what's going on out there, because it's an exciting time. It's very different now than it was 10 years ago even.
It is an exciting time. And I definitely want to come back and talk more about the element of trust, and especially when it comes to leadership, both internally and externally in your company. But we're going to take a quick break because we like to celebrate the National Day every day. So earlier this week on Monday, we had Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Today, do you know what the National Day is today?
I don't.
It is National Popcorn Day, my friend. Are you a popcorn eater?
Huge popcorn fan.
Okay, what's your go-to? Like, if you could either make popcorn or get a bag of popcorn, do you have a certain mix, a certain style? What do you like?
Kettle corn, undoubtedly.
Kettle corn. Okay.
Kettle corn from a state fair, like the giant $9 bag that takes you all day to eat. Like,
you gotta hoist it over to carry it the whole day. Yeah, that's a good choice. I like Chicago style a lot because I like the cheesy and the caramel kind of together. I kind of like those together. So I'm a big Chicago style. But kettle corn it's a must-have at a fair. There's no doubt about it. Yeah. Kettle corn to me has become, it's like the adult version of oh my gosh, I can't what's the fluffy stuff? Come on, this is
Pirate's Booty?
No, like the sugary fluffy at a fair.
Cotton candy.
Cotton candy. This is what happens when you're an adult and you have kids. Simple words, just Gone. Yeah,
evaporate.
I feel like kettle corn is probably the adult version of cotton candy at a fair. So
For sure.
I agree with you on that. That's a good one. I like popcorn, especially at night watching movies. That's kind of a family thing we do. We watch a lot of movies here at the house. A lot of Hallmark because I got 2 daughters, Nate. So a lot of Hallmark movies around here, and a lot of popcorn flowing throughout the house. So National Popcorn Day, everyone. Enjoy. Do what?
Hallmark just evolves into Lifetime, and then
and then whatever Cameron Bure and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, it just continues to. It's all the same too, right? It's this romantic story. There's a little tension, and then the kiss at the end. That's it. That's all it is. But we watch a lot of them, and a lot of popcorn involved. So, National Popcorn Day, everybody. Enjoy some popcorn, and think about Hallmark movies while you do that. So, okay, Nate. Another thing that we do is we like to play some games around here and have a little fun. So today we're gonna play a game called 50-50. All right, and 50-50 means I'm gonna give you 2 options. You got to pick one. All right, so just the first one that comes to mind. All right, so the first one that we have is salt or sweet?
Salt.
Okay, all right. Any reason why?
I mean, it could just be my carb addiction, but as soon as I heard salt, I thought French fries.
You're like, oh, that's a good one. Yeah. Have you ever had French fries in ice cream? And then you get both. That's pretty good. That's a good one. Soft serve ice cream. French fries dipped in soft serve ice cream. We had that in college, and it was. We
used to do that at Wendy's with the.
Right. With the Frosty. That's right.
Frosty.
That's right. Okay, number 2. Would you rather drive or fly somewhere? Drive somewhere or fly somewhere?
I hate flying. I have to do it a lot in my role.
Right.
So I'd rather drive, but if the kids are involved, I probably would rather fly.
If the kids are involved and there's no technology.
Yeah,
definitely.
The iPads are dead.
Definitely flying.
Yeah, I'm flying.
Well, I'll tell you what. Since you like to drive, you should get the RV lifestyle going at some point. We did that for 2 years, man, and I'm telling you, one of the best things we ever did.
We've talked about that. We really want to go to Yellowstone, not because it's a great television show, but just because we want to get up there. And the RV ride up there seems like a great choice.
It's amazing. We've been there twice.
Flights right now. Flights are nuts.
Yeah, they are. We've been there twice, once in an RV and once not, but it was amazing both times. So definitely good. Although Yellowstone is not actually in Yellowstone, it's close to Yellowstone, but the actual ranch is not far away. Not far away. Chief Joseph Ranch would be worth going to. Okay, next question. This is another food question. Would you rather have a steak or a salad?
Steak.
Yeah. What's your cut? What's your cut of steak?
I think, every time I go to a steak place, they have all the different cuts, and I actually never really know what to choose. I usually see what everyone has the most ounces and pick that one.
So the largest steak, I'm getting that one. That's it.
Yeah. So we opened an office in Tampa, and there's a steakhouse there called Burn Steakhouse. That's this like super famous place, and this guy took me there, and I was blown away. And I got the 20-ounce prime rib cut, and it was the best steak I've ever had. And it's one of those places that's like nice where Tom Brady is there sometimes. There's Tampa Bay Lightning guys there, and it was phenomenal. And the dessert room's even better. But yeah, so I usually just pick the big one. I know that's probably not the greatest.
Go for it. I'm a filet guy. I really like the cut of filet. I like it, medium rare where it just melts in your mouth, no fat. I'm a big fan of the filet. But this will definitely date us as well. Do you remember the movie The Great Outdoors with the old 96er?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. A lot of people, will not get that reference that watch this, but the old 96er from Great Outdoors. All right, question number 4, winter or summer? You like winter or summer? I know you're Houston, it's probably the same, but.
Yeah, it's funny. We also, we just bought a trucking company in Denver. It hasn't really been announced yet, so I can't say the name, but so I was in Denver last week, and it was like in the 30s, but not cold. And I think it's because, so I grew up in Alaska, and
you did? Wow.
There's no humidity there. So when it's cold and not humid, it's like I had my jacket unzipped. And then in Houston, like 3 weeks ago, it got to 17, and I thought I was going to die. So I would definitely say summer. It's especially, again, kids are great, everybody. But when you have kids, it just changes everything. Like warming up a car and scraping the windshield and getting a snowsuit on and put them in the car seat, loosening the straps, taking the car. Then they're sweaty and hot. Like it's a nightmare. So summer.
Kids are great though. That's what I heard. That's all I heard.
100%.
Kids are great. That's right. Okay. Last one. Are you taking the kids to the mountains or the beach, or maybe just you and your wife? Mountains or beach? What do you prefer?
Beach. For sure. We have 2 kids with autism, and the sand on the beach is like their favorite thing on planet Earth. So we try to go to the beach as much as we can.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a beach guy, but I can totally appreciate that. I'm more of a mountain guy, but
Yeah.
I can see why. I mean, the beach is not bad, but we actually don't like the beach because it's so dirty. Like, it gets in your swimsuit and then in the car and then in a
Oh yeah.
bag and in your house. And so we're not beach people. And because we live in St. Louis, we don't have to be. So it
Right.
works out pretty well. But mountains is
Yeah.
definitely it for me. Okay. Well, that was fun. Thank you for playing 50-50. Hope
Yeah.
y'all enjoyed that. All right, Nate, real quick, as we round this episode up, I want to move back to this element of trust that you talked about. I think that really is the foundation of any company, is their ability to build and to maintain trust. When you think about that from a leadership position, both internally for your team, but also externally for your customers and your vendor partners out there, how do you view that element of trust, and what are some things that you do to really establish that and to build that, keep maintain it in the company?
Yeah. So, if you started at a brokerage tomorrow and you're on the sales team and you start cold calling shippers and you say, "Hey, I'm a broker," 99% of the time they want to hang up the phone. And I think it's because at some point in their career, a broker did something that violated their trust. And so when I was coming up with the core value, and you start to think about, I was in the Army, so you think about integrity and loyalty and selfless service and all those things that we had. And it all kind of boils up to this word trust. And we talk about it even internally with our people, like trust your teammate. Trust that the carrier rep is going to get your load covered and go get more of them. Trust that the operator built it correctly. Trust that the sales guy is going to get freight for you so that you can make commission on this side of the fence. And it's really helped to eliminate finger point culture. Like, I've been at some brokerages where you need 4 or 5 HR people all day long to just manage the drama on a brokerage floor, and we don't have it. Establishing trust with our agents is huge. I'm the new kid on the block. RFX was a family-owned company for 69 years until it was acquired, and then I came in, and so there was a element of saying you can trust me, and you have to prove it. Trust is earned. So just doing the right thing every time. Don't screw over a carrier. Don't deduct them $1,000 for showing up 2 minutes late to an appointment. Don't give freight back. Don't ask to reprice freight 2 days after you quoted it. You have to stick to your guns. You have to lose money. You have to stick to your word. And I think, to summarize all of it, living through trust means you're usually going to have to do the harder of the two choices. It's never easy to live through trust. And, there's a lot of parallels to that with my own personal beliefs. The easy road is rarely the right one, the easy road is rarely the one that you have to go down. It's the hard one, and making the hard decisions and losing money and sacrificing. And so we just live it every day. And when issues bubble to the surface, we answer it like, is that the right answer? And does that enable somebody to trust us or not? And if it doesn't, then don't do it.
Yeah, I think we're going to end on that. That's really good advice, that, to work through trust means taking the harder of two choices, the harder two roads. I think that's really true. And obviously you've lived that out, and you guys are doing a great job at our RFX, and super excited to have you on the show today. Thanks so much for joining us. We're going to have to have you back on another time, but congratulations and best wishes in the future at RFX. Thanks, Nate. Appreciate
Absolutely. Yeah. Thanks for having me, Trey. It was a pleasure.
Absolutely. Everybody else, make sure you come back next week. We got 2 great shows next week. We got my good friend Eric Nassadi from Trailer Bridge, as well as Jake McLeod from Exo Freight, and we'll be previewing the upcoming Manifest conference. We'll talk to you guys real soon. Take care. We'll see you later.